Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel Made with Love. My name is Heather and today I am going to make some buttermilk rhubarb muffins. I'm using the rhubarb from my garden. So the basic recipe is 2.5 cups of flour, 1.5 cups of brown sugar, a teaspoon of salt, a teaspoon of baking soda, a teaspoon of cinnamon, 1 egg, 1 cup of buttermilk, 2 and 3 cups of oil. I'm using canola oil, or no, I'm using vegetable oil today. I'm out of my olive oil. Vanilla, and of course 2 cups of rhubarb. Now, I have my buttermilk poured out in this container. It's from this. I just need to know how much. Trying to go from mils to cups. I was just curious to see because it said it was about almost 4 cups, so I thought I'd measure. Yeah, it's nearly 4 cups. So I'm going to be making 2 double batches, so I'm actually making 4 times the recipe. So I'm going to be using a full carton of this old-fashioned buttermilk. I like this one here. There's another brand I like too, but Dairyland is pretty good. But when I'm buying my buttermilk, I love to get the one that's at 3.25%. Same with when I use anything with a heavy cream. I like the 35% whipping cream versus some of the other 18 or 22% that they kind of seem to like. Even like when I'm baking, I prefer to use whole milk over some of the skim milk. But if you have like dietary restrictions, whatever, I mean, I like to buy this buttermilk. You can make your own. Me personally, I've never noticed any difference in the taste of buying the actual buttermilk, or you make a cup yourself using vinegar or lemon juice. I usually use the lemon juice, which is just, I think it's just in a 1 cup measure. I put in 1 tablespoon of lemon juice or vinegar, and then you top it up to get a 1 full cup of your milk, and you let that sit for 10-15 minutes until it kind of looks frothy, kind of like the way buttermilk does have a frothy texture to it. My buttermilk and my rhubarb look a little funny because I poured the buttermilk in this Pyrex container, and I was chopping up and putting my chopped rhubarb in this Pyrex, and then I got distracted and I started putting the chopped stuff in this one, so I had to scoop it out. So it's gonna look a little funny, but I thought it just, I was just trying to get all the prep work done to make it faster. So I'm gonna start making this stuff. I've already got, just because I'm doubling the recipe, measuring out 5 cups of flour and 3 cups of brown sugar. I mean, it doesn't take a lot, but in here I've already got my stand mixer. I've already got the flour and the sugar mixed in. I haven't turned it on yet, but I've already got it measured out. And I've got my eggs already measured out, my oil's measured out. So I've got most of my stuff measured out. The only thing I don't have measured out is a few things, which I have to grab a teaspoon because I realize I don't have my little measuring spoons in front of me. Okay, now I've got my measuring spoons out in front of me. So now I'm going to make sure this is locked in place. And I'm just going to give this a quick mix. So this is just the flour and brown sugar. And then to this, I'm going to be adding my salt. So I need 2 teaspoons of salt. I'm going to turn this off because it's just going to get this flour going everywhere. Just need 2 teaspoons of salt. And I need 2 teaspoons of, yes, 2 teaspoons of baking soda. Now, I usually like to sift my baking soda and salt with my flour when I'm doing this, but sometimes, doing different steps, sometimes I don't get a chance to do that. And some cinnamon. It says 2 teaspoons. Well, I'm just going to shake some in because I really like the taste of the cinnamon. I might stick some other allspice in my next recipe. I just wanted to try this without the extra spices. And what else do I have to add? My eggs and the oil and the buttermilk. Okay, so I said I just need to add all the other ingredients to this. I'm going to turn this on and, oops, too high. Just add in the oil. and the eggs. And the vanilla, again, I don't always measure my vanilla, I just like to add some for flavoring. And I need the 2 cups of the buttermilk. I'm just going to give this a quick little stir because I think adding the rhubarb to this kind of made it separate. So now you can see it's starting to mix together. Just going to make sure that is a little more. One thing about making recipes from scratch is sometimes your ingredients isn't quite measured perfectly, and that's okay. And just got the batter looking really good. Now I'm just going to turn this off for a second and lift this up to give it a scrape down. Just want to make sure I get all the flour that's going up the side. I like how it's already looks good. It's already kind of coming together. So now I need to add my 2 cups of my chopped rhubarb. Or no, this says 2 cups. I need the full 4 cups in this recipe. There. I'm going to add the full 4 cups of rhubarb. I spilled chunks of rhubarb there. I just don't want it to fall out because it's almost too high, but that looks really good. And have really nice moist muffins. So I'm just gonna, I'll mix this in a few minutes off camera because it's just gonna take a couple minutes to get mix a little bit better. And I see I've got some chunks of rhubarb that I didn't quite cut fully, so I'm gonna have to cut a few pieces. I just happened to notice. So I'm just going to stop for a second. I just got to clean up because I spilt buttermilk and stuff all over my hands and on the counter. But I will show you because my oven's still not preheated. So that's my next thing. I'm waiting for the oven to preheat. But I'll be back and I'll show you how I make my liners for my jumbo muffin tins. Okay, so I got some of those bigger chunks cut smaller. Now, these are my jumbo size muffin pans. They make 4 muffins. I've got 2 of them. So I still need some cooking spray. And I was like, oh, I've got Pam type stuff. Actually, today I actually have a real Pam. I don't know why. I never actually have the Pam in my pantry. I usually just buy some no name or Walmart dollar store brand. Somehow I have actual Pam. So then to make these, I buy these little round, I believe they're, I don't know, 8-inch, 10-inch, something like that, little rounds of the wax paper or your liners for your cake pans. And you just need a mug or a water bottle that fits in the size of your muffin pans. And then all you do is just line it up on the bottom. You just fold it down like that, and you get a really nice liner that will fit perfectly. Now they always stick up, so I always just do a little spritz. There. Just a little spritz in here, just to give it something to kind of stick to. Just kind of helps hold it in place a little more. It still bumps up. And I also just give a little spritz in the bottom of the liners, just to help when you kids go to peel them, especially the kids, when they go to peel them off, then they don't get the muffin stuff always stuck in here. I don't want the kids to actually end up eating some of the wrapper. So my oven is preheated now, so I'm just going to make a few more of these liners. So it's just very easy. they always pop out. I've seen people able to make them and they can get them to stay in their pans. Mine always pop out the second I take the cup up. But it's just trying to get the, let's see, and when they're empty and they don't even want to stay in the pan. Even with a little bit of cooking spray. Sometimes I find that cooking spray helps hold them in place. Sometimes it doesn't. I don't know. For the most part, this works. And then once I actually start to fill the muffin liners, then they will actually stay. I don't know how other people get them who actually, they do this and they pull it out and they all stay in all the pans. Mine never do. So, yeah. Set those aside because now I gotta one more quick mix here. Like the right one. And I had my utensils right here. Just a really quick, easy recipe, and it won't take long to cook. I think they're done in about half an hour, I believe it said. I've got to double check that. So the recipe is on my phone. I found it on Pinterest. So the recipe is screenshotted on my phone. I'm recording for my phone, so I can't tell you exactly how many minutes it's going to take, but I will look that up in just a second. As I fill these up, then it's going to just fall right back into place. So I'm just doing a big scoop of the batter in each one of these. I don't want to overfill the liners. Fill them about 2/3 full. It's usually what I fill cupcake and muffins. And these go into the oven at 350 degrees. Oops. Try not to do that though. Liner wants to go in underneath itself. This one, sometimes they just want to go underneath. I don't know. I've got a little tiny baby fly circling me. Like I said, this rhubarb is fresh out of my garden, so when I brought it in, I had it soaking in the sink in cold water with some vinegar and baking soda. Never done that like a fruit wash type of a thing before, but I thought, oh, I'll try it and see. And I say rhubarb fresh out of my garden. The water looked the same as it normally would if it was just ice cold water. I didn't see any little other things floating around, but you know, it was something I seen for keeping your strawberries fresher, so I thought I'd try it. So there's my 8 muffins. So I'll put these in the oven and I will be back and I'll let you know how long it took to bake because I forget. So yeah, I'll be back when these are done. Okay, so these are the first ones I made. I had done 2 double batches today. I made these ones earlier and then I made these ones this afternoon. I was trying to do a double batch and then I realized I didn't have enough rhubarb chopped, so I had to go chop more rhubarb. Just this out of the way a little bit. Get this more into focus. Here we go. So these are the ones I made this morning. So I made 16 this morning. They're really good. I only have I think I've had, well, 2. My daughter's home, so she had 1 or 2, and I know my dog got 1. So puppy loves them, so they're really, good size. I mean, they're the jumbo muffins. They taste really good. So these are the ones that just came out of the oven. I've got another 4 in the oven. So in total, between the 2 batches I have made, I have done 28 jumbo muffins today. So these are just so easy to lift out of these little things I was using for muffin liners that I made. I reused them so I didn't have so much, waste. So now these will just go into the compost, because these are supposed to be, according to the instructions or the bag, these ones here are the compostable liners. So I will put them in my compost bin. Now what I really like to do is get some silicone muffin liners. I have silicone cupcake liners and I love them. I use them all the time, but they make the small little cupcakes and I really love to make muffins. So I'm on the lookout for jumbo size silicone muffin liners. I'm glad these are compostable, so they're not just going to be thrown out. And I've used them to make, I think 3 muffins today in each one of these wrappers. Or was it 4? I don't know, 3 or 4 muffins in each one of these wrappers, just so I'm not wasting as much as well. But I will break one of these ones open so you can just see how nice and moist they are. And how big chunks, like I've got extra big chunks of rhubarb here. I love my rhubarb chunks being this size. When my kids were younger, I would cut them, probably a little bit less than half this size, but I prefer the larger chunks. Rhubarb, basically do the way, however size of rhubarb you want. The longer you cook it, they become more mushy. I'm also making more rhubarb jam. So I'm just going to walk around here to show this. So in this pot, it's not quite time to start cooking, but I will show this. So in here, I have about 10 cups of rhubarb and a good 8 cups of sugar and about a 1/4 cup of lemon juice. So I'm just letting that sit for an hour for it to, all the juices to come out. I'm just giving it a stir every once in a while too. Just making sure I get the sugar in here and everything well coated. And then I'll put it on a high heat or a medium-high heat to boil. Boil it for, till it's well boiled. And then bring it down to a low simmer and just let it simmer until it's no liquid left. And then I'll have some rhubarb jam. More rhubarb jam, because I'm almost out of the jam I made the other day. So my husband has eaten almost 2 liters of rhubarb jam with 4 liters of vanilla ice cream. So this is just my quick little quick way I'm going to start making my jams again. It's been a long time since I've made any type of jam since I found this recipe. It's a no pectin recipe. So far I seem to love it with the rhubarb. Last time I made it rhubarb and peach. This time I've done just straight rhubarb, so I'll be curious to see how well it turns out. And I made my muffins. So again, I just want to say thank you so much to everybody who's subscribing to my channels and watching my videos, and just thank you so much, and I will see you all in my next videos. Bye.